gas cardboard safe? Question mark? What's up, guys? Dad and D back at it again. Today we're working on the Ram. We have a fuel pump issue. The fuel sending sensor shows the fuel level. Took a crap on us. It's jumping everywhere. Has check engine light because of it now. I'll post the actual code right here so you guys can see what the actual code is for this.
And he almost ran out of gas one day because he couldn't read what the fuel level was at.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not trying to run out of gas. So today we're replacing it. And it seems like it's a pretty simple job. There's a lot of videos out there showing how to do this. A lot of people lift the bed, take the bed off, so on and so forth to do it that way. I'm not doing that. I'm going to go the old school way and just take the fuel straps off. Mine's not rusted, so I shouldn't have too much of an issue out of it. I'm also on a lift kit in my truck, so it has a 6-inch lift, so I can get underneath of it pretty well. And I already found the straps that I need to take off, found the fuel lines I need to disconnect, and with my truck being lifted, I can get to them really easily, so not too big of an issue. So we're gonna get underneath here and get at it. I don't know how much I'm gonna let Dom do on this just because it is fuel and I don't want that stuff getting in his face and all over him. So I'll let him do some of the bolts and stuff like that, but when it comes to fuel lines, I'll probably disconnect those. Because like I said, I just don't want him dealing with all of that.
And
so
there could be fuel inside and stuff.
Exactly. So what we're gonna do is we'll take the fuel relay sensor out for the fuel pump, start it, let it run all the fuel out of the lines, so then when we disconnect it, in theory, then there shouldn't be too much fuel left in the lines to go everywhere.
So we don't get all of those.
Exactly. So that is what we're going to do. I guess we'll do that first. We'll take out the fuel relay and crank it over until start her up until she dies, and then we'll know she's out of fuel on the fuel lines. Yeah, maybe. I think that's how that works. We're gonna find out. So.
Still hope on a video.
Yeah.
Videos.
Yeah, because then I do that, then the engine is pulling all the fuel out of the fuel lines. The fuel pump's not pumping any fuel into the fuel lines, so it should empty the fuel lines out. In theory. I don't know. First time ever changing a fuel pump out on one of these. I did it on a Blazer not too long ago. Didn't have any issues out of it, so we'll do it again on this one. So let's get the hood up on this thing, and we'll see you guys in a minute. Alright guys, so underneath the hood of the truck, don't mind it, it's kind of dirty. If you're facing the front of the truck, your fuse box is going to be on the right hand side, right here. And it has your fuel diagram, and it actually has it listed, which is very convenient over here. So the fuel pump looks like it's going to be F70. So then we'll come over here, F70 for the fuel pump here. We'll come over here, F70's there. So we're looking at, looks like it's gonna be this fuse right here. Yeah. Because that's F71, so this is F70. This little 30 amp right here is the one we're looking for. So get the handy dandy fuse puller. Pull this fuse out for the fuel pump. We'll just set it right here on the top. If I lose it, I have more, so not a big deal, but if I leave it there, I probably wouldn't lose it. But yeah, that's where it is. Fuse you're looking for is right there. The diagram, like I said, is here, so that's convenient, and then the diagram here and the list here, so pretty convenient. And then I'll close this so I don't lose the fuse.
Started.
Alright guys, so we're up here on top of the fuel tank. There is an electrical plug that goes into the fuel pump, and then there's a fuel line behind that you have to disconnect before you drop the tank. Those two things have to be disconnected, because if not, you take a chance of either breaking your fuel line or ripping that wire out of the plug. So I'm using a smaller flathead screwdriver, as you can see, because there's a red clip that goes into the electrical plug on top of the fuel pump. Now the thing I'm running into with my plug, or with that clip, is somebody put a rubber coating on the bottom of my truck. And they didn't cover the fuel pump when they did that. So now I have a rubber coating on top of my fuel pump that is keeping me from being able to get this out easier. It finally released, so now, in theory, get my other arm up here in here. Sorry if I'm blocking any views. It's pretty dark in here too.
It is.
I gotta see if this clip either goes down, if I have to push down on it, or if it has to. See how this clip works is the problem. Alright, so on the end of the electrical plug, there is a tab you press down on, and the plug just pulls out like that. So there's the plug. Yeah, you can see the red tab right there. That's the tab that you have to pull out before you can take the plug off the top of the fuel pump. So just a flathead screwdriver is what I found really nice to be able to pop that out. And then the part you press is right here, and then you just give it a nice little tug and she comes right off. Alright guys, I'm a sweaty mess. I lost my hat up underneath the truck somewhere.
It's underneath the truck.
But we did it. We got the big beast up out of there.
It took forever.
Yes, it took forever. This the fuel neck was absolutely no joke. It was ridiculous. I think that probably took the longest. This is the fuel pump we're replacing. I already got the ring off. There's plenty of videos showing how to do that, so I didn't think I needed to show that. But yeah, that was nuts. That was absolutely crazy. There was these two things. There's a fuel line down here, or a vacuum line that goes to the canister here. There's a line from here that goes to the filler neck. There's a plug on here you had to disconnect. This line goes connected to the fueler neck. Yeah, it was a whole mess. Looking back at it, I don't see why I had to disconnect it up there when I just disconnected it from here. Made no sense. So that was kind of a waste of time, but you still did good, kid.
Yeah, I did good.
D took all the bolts out of that filler neck, and as you can see, they're laying right there. So he did good. Anyways, we're getting ready to pull the fuel pump out and get the new one put in here. I'll let D do some recording on that so you guys can see it. I went ahead and vacuumed it off the best I can. There's still some crud on here, but I couldn't get it with the house vacuum, the wifey's vacuum. So there's still a little bit on there. Whoop! Well, it just popped out, guys. So I guess you guys will see it sooner than I thought you would. So I'll pass the camera off to D while I get this old one pulled out, and hopefully not make too big of a mess. I got some cardboard I'll lay down over here so it won't get on the concrete, and the cardboard can absorb it all. Gas, cardboard, nothing could go wrong, right?
Yeah, totally.
Gas, cardboard, safe? Question mark?
There's no heat nearby.
I guess we'll find out, won't we?
Yeah.
Alright, we're going to pull this out. It's kind of finicky from what I've seen in videos, so we'll have to fish this out of here. Plus, I got to try to pour as much fuel out as I can. This stuff's expensive. Everybody knows how expensive fuel is this day and age, so I got to try to pull it out as much as possible. Okay, so obviously this is just the cap. The pump is in here. You can see there's still a lot of fuel in here. God, I wish I could get that so it doesn't spill. I'm going to try to do my best. All right.
Yeah.
So, what a lot of people don't explain is why we change these. You have two options when that code happens. I'm not going to show you the process of changing it, but I'm going to show you why it happens, because I don't feel like a lot of people explain that, and it's kind of important. This is the fuel sensor here. So, obviously, this is your float. As you get gas, it goes up and down. Okay, you run out of gas, it goes down. The reason this throws a sensor is because if Dominic can get a good view on this right here, as you can see,
Oh my god.
yeah, it's kind of strong, sorry. As you can see, it wears down this line right here on this little chip. And so mine was about right around a half a tank. Hopefully it comes through on the camera. It has really, really worn down right there in the middle. You can see it now. So that was thrown in the check engine code for the fuel level sensor being bad. Now there's two options with this. You can either change the entire fuel pump like I'm doing, because if you're in here changing that fuel sensor, you might as well change the fuel pump. Every car, at least once in their life, probably goes through a fuel pump. I mean, every car I've owned has went through at least one fuel pump. So if you're in there changing that sensor, you might as well change the whole thing. Second option is you can just buy this sensor. It just clips in here with a couple clips, and that whole sensor comes out, and it actually plugs into this harness here. Now, that sensor comes with this whole harness, so you'd have to take this whole harness out just to get this one sensor out. And like I said, if you're in here to change that sensor, just change your whole fuel pump. You're already in there. It's one less thing you have to worry about later. You've already got everything tore down, everything's tore apart. Take the extra time, take the extra money, replace the whole fuel pump.
Just in case.
It'll save you a lot of heartache and a lot of pain in the future. So that's what I suggest. That's why that code happens, is because of that one sensor. As it goes up and down, it just drags across it until that chip wears out, and then it has to be replaced. So my truck has 125,000 miles on it. I've been driving it for about 2 years with that check engine light on. So I would say probably right around 110,000 is when that light started coming on. So
just be cautious when that happens. Just be prepared.
Yeah, be prepared. I would say pick a day, a couple days a week, put gas in it until you're able to get that replaced. Like I said, I'm doing it myself. I picked up a fuel pump for this thing, relatively good price. So it's saving a lot of money by doing it this way. I think the average cost that I got quoted was like $1,500. Somebody was going to charge me to replace this. I said I wasn't doing that. So not when I can do it myself. I'm a handy enough guy to where I can handle it. Now let's see how much of a mess I can make trying to get this gas back in this tank.
We're going to just do it ourselves because we're good mechanics. It's not too bad.
I'll wipe it up some too. Alright, so got that all cleaned up. Dominic probably got a shot of me pouring the gas everywhere. But I got it all wiped up and cleaned off the best I could. We're getting ready to change it out. Of course, your gasket on here, your new fuel pump should come with a new gasket. So make sure if it does, make sure you change that out. And in the process, do the best you can to clean out where it sits, because there's a lot of crud in here. But as you're doing it, make sure you're scooping that stuff away from the fuel, obviously. You don't want that down in your gas tank. It's a lot of dirt and crud from, years past.
And you don't want that to get in your engine.
Exactly. Well, it'll clog up your fuel filter before anything, but still, you don't want it to cause issues down the road. So if you don't get a good seat with that gasket for your fuel pump, then you have potential to have a leak. So make sure it's bed where it's going to spend the rest of its life at is nice and clean. You don't want any crud down in there possibly causing leaks in the future,
Or stays in there until we have to replace it again.
Exactly. So just clean that off. So I found this one, I believe I got it off of Amazon. Had a lot of really good reviews. It's from Master Injection.
As you can see.
Yep. I guess Next Marks is the actual name of the brand, but I got a good deal on it. It is aftermarket, so we'll see how well it actually does. Hopefully it works. We don't have to get back underneath here and replace it, but
a lot of parts that we put on cars are aftermarket.
Yeah. So it came in this really nice sleeve, so they protected it really well during shipping. They even sent gloves for your safety. Like they're very nice about everything on here.
Yes.
Also, I noticed on this one, the fuel level sensor on this one is internal, meaning it's inside the bucket, where this one is on the outside here. This one's on the inside. I don't know how much of a difference that's actually going to make in this process, but I thought that was kind of cool. They did list it as the fuel pump on this. It was supposed to last longer than the factory one, or the fuel sensor is supposed to last longer than the factory one because of the internal aspect. I don't know if I agree with that, but that's what it said.
There's two things that can go wrong with, two things that can go wrong with the aftermarket part. Wait, no, there's one thing that could go wrong. The first one is that you could keep your check engine light, and then the good thing is that you might get more power, maybe. It matters on what you replace, though, with aftermarket part. It's the only thing that can happen with the aftermarket part.
So as you've seen, my new fuel pump came with a new fuel gasket, or fuel pump gasket for the top. Sits in there perfectly fine, nice and snug. Now when I took this one out, as you can see, the tops line up. Fuel still level, sensors in the same location. Everything looks really well. Something I also noticed about the aftermarket fuel pump is on the factory fuel pump, you have a plug here, which I've also heard people have mentioned that this plug is a faulty area too, where this will eventually go bad, so that causes an issue in the fuel pump. On the aftermarket, there's no plug there, so there's not that worry of that plug going bad. So
which could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. Like I said, it could throw a check engine light.
Yes, it very well could throw a check engine light. So now that we have that on there, as you can see, you got the plug here, you got the cover here. I think that's the actual main fuel line, so there's a cover on it. We'll leave that on there until we get the tank up in there, so I don't get anything accidentally in that port. They even went as far as covering the float, which is pretty cool. Keeps the float clean. You don't want to let the float touch the ground as you're installing it, because then, once again, more dirt onto that. So we'll see.
Which means a no-go for the engine.
Get that down in there like that.
As you can see,
As it fits,
gloves,
you do it nice and slowly.
gloves scent.
Filled up with fuel. And it's spring actuated, so it'll pop back up. See what I mean? So you have to make sure, for one, your gasket is seated in the right spot, because like mine is not wanting to lay real flat right now.
Gloves and a rag. They got a rag here, and then they got gloves. Just for safety reasons. They don't want you to get like hurt or get or something bad to happen to you, which is very kind of them to do. This feels so weird.
Take your handy dandy hammer and a flathead screwdriver. Alright guys, well, we got the fuel pump changed. We went to put it back up in the truck. Now I understand why everybody lifts the bed or removes the bed to change that fuel pump. Highly suggest doing that or running your truck out of gas before you do it. Because I went to change this on a half a tank of gas, and the wifey said, you should have drove your truck a little bit. And I said, no, it'll be okay. I was wrong. She was right again. We had to use her muscles and my muscles to get this thing lifted up in the air. Remember, my truck's lifted, so it's higher off the ground.
Yep, makes it hard.
With a half a tank of gas, and get the straps connected. I didn't record any of it because there was some adult language said, and I didn't want your little ears to hear all of that.
Yeah.
So, we got it. Got everything just reconnected up. All the hoses, the wire. The one thing we have left is the fueler neck. That's Dee's job. He took it off. He gets to put it back on. So I'm finishing up this last bolt, and then he's going to get on that. And then we're going to take it for a test drive and see how she runs. or if she runs at all. So we'll see. And we'll be back to you guys in a minute.
So now we're getting the filler neck back on. Got Daddy down there. Trying to get it for me. So I can try and get it in the hole.
Not focused. So don't go all the way, and then start screwing in the other screws, okay? Yep, that's good.
One start. Hold on to this and get at least one more start.
Why are you using your left hand? Now we're just gonna tighten the screws all the way down. Right?
Mom at it.
You don't have to hold it that close. There you go. Alright, fam, she's all tightened.
Yeah.
We did it. Sorry. We got the fuel pump changed out. Thanks to her. If it wasn't for her, we would have never been able to do that. Plain and simple. I'm a mess. My shirt is soaked in sweat. The light we were using was giving off an enormous amount of heat, which I still need to get out from underneath the truck. But we tackled this one as a family, guys. I'm proud of us. It was a heck of a job. So like I said before, you guys ever have to do this, definitely follow the YouTube videos that you find lifting the bed off, because it's a lot easier. I just proved that by trying to drop it. It's not easy. So other than that, changing the fuel pump was easy. I still suggest if you guys ever have to change that fuel sensor, change the whole pump, because it just makes sense.
Just for the future, just in case.
Yep. So, all in all, sorry you guys didn't get a lot of the action of us tearing it down out of there and putting it back up in there, but we had to use all of our body parts, literally. Like, we were using our knees and our legs to lift that tank, so we didn't have much footage of that. But hopefully you guys still enjoyed the video and found some of it helpful. And with that, I guess we will see you in the next one. Peace.